Hi there. I wanted to review how I made a lake with the reflection. So I'm in Photopea. I opened up my landscape. And to start, I'm actually going to move some layers up because my mountains are pretty close to the bottom of my canvas. And I would like to give myself a little room to put a lake at the bottom. So I'm going to start with the Move tool, which is the top tool on the toolbar to the left. Select your Move tool. And choose the layers that you want to move. I'm going to choose my mountain layer 1. I'm going to move them out. Maybe mountain layer 2, move it up a little bit. So if you need to, you can give yourself some space by moving your layers up. Then, you know me, get a new layer. I'm going to name it Lake. And just because I'm not really sure where it's going to go, I'm going to move it to the top. So I'm moving my layer to the top. So I moved my mountains up a little bit. Made a new layer, called it Lake, and made sure my layer was on top. Now I'm going to select another tool. I'm going to go to the rectangle select, which is underneath the Move tool. Click and hold rectangle select. We use that when we made our sun or moon. We did the ellipse select. And you're going to draw a rectangle at the bottom of your canvas. And now instead of filling it in like we did with the mountains with a solid gradation, we are going to fill it in with the same gradation colors as the sky. So I'm going to go to the gradient tool, not the paint bucket tool, the gradient tool. And instead of just using random colors, I'm going to select the color picker by double clicking the colors on the bottom. And I'm going to relocate my color picker. And watch this. Rather than simply selecting the colors on the color picker, I'm going to click on my landscape, and it will, whatever color I've just chosen on my landscape, that's reflected in my color picker. So I can match the colors of my sky. So I want to do like a purple, so okay. And on the bottom, I want to do yellow, okay. And I've basically chosen my sky gradation colors again. And then even though I'm only filling in a small section, I'm going to click hold my gradation tool, drop it down, and I'm going to play around to try and get some yellow and purple. You might reverse. And I basically want to make a mini slender sky. And once you feel like you have your mini sky filled in that rectangle, remember Control D will deselect it. And now what you have is a bit of a reflection of the sky. And that's really what a lot of lakes, rivers, streams are. They're reflections of the sky above. So if the sky's blue, the ocean's blue. If the sky is sunset, your lakes are sunset, your rivers are sunset. You can also play around with moving your layers to see what happens. Maybe when you move your layers around, things that were behind now look like they're forward a little bit more. So that's something else you could play with. You can also continue to move things in your artwork if you want. Totally up to you. All right. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to select some of my layers, and I want to show you how to duplicate them. So let's begin with my mountain one. I'm going to select that layer, and if you click and hold on the trackpad of your Chromebook or right-click on a mouse, there's a duplicate layer option. Careful, it's near delete, so try not to delete. If you do, go to edit, step backwards. You can duplicate your layer, which is hard to see because the two layers are right on top of each other. Like if I move them, you can see, oh wait, there is two layers. But when you duplicate, it's hard to tell. Now, one of my other favorite, most useful things in Photopea or Photoshop is the transform feature. So I'm going to select the copy of my layer I want to change, and I'm going to go to edit, transform. For some reason, this was never something I could find easily. I wish it was a tool. But there's a transform option. And I'm going to go to the bottom, edit, transform. And there's things like scale. You can make things a lot bigger or smaller. You can rotate them. You can distort them. I'm going to flip it vertically. There's flip horizontal also. And I'm going to flip it vertically. And you might notice my layer copy has just gone upside down, but it's at the top. I'm going to move it down lower so it's on the lake, but oh my gosh, you can't see it. It just disappeared. So I need to relocate some of my layers. There we go. Now it's on top of the lake. but that looks a little strange. Yes, it's a mirror image, but it doesn't really look like a lake anymore. You could keep it like that, kind of looks more like a stream, little ponds, little puddles, or you can change the opacity. So I'm going to make it a lot more transparent. So I'm changing the opacity so most of the lake color shines through, but you can see a little bit of the reflection. That will make it look even more realistic. And you could do that with almost anything. So I could duplicate my sun layer. And I can move it around. I can do edit, transform, flip. You might have to move it up above the lake. There it is. But maybe it has to go about this copy. I don't know. So you're playing around with things. And you're playing around with the opacity. How opaque do you want them? Whoop. So make them more transparent. You can also use an eraser tool. So the eraser tool is kind of in the center. Sometimes it's hiding under the paintbrush tool. It looks like a diagonal black and white chunk thing. You can erase parts of your layers. So I can erase part of the sun there. That's just another helpful tool to know about. So that's kind of a cool tip if you want to do some flipping around, moving things around, playing with things. You can totally do that. Have fun, try new things, and don't be afraid because you can always do edit, step backwards. Also, like I'm making the sun layer. I'm going to make the sun a little smaller. So edit, transform, scale. I can make it a little smaller. Why not, right? Play around with that and then click a new tool so it disappears. So play around, have fun, try new things. Happy art making.